Hello everybody, welcome to Herlefeld Farming Simulator 11, created by Desperados93 and SourceWorks. Well folks, we have ourselves a few cows to take care of, and maybe I'll just go to the BGA first though, and make sure I keep this thing fully stacked up. I haven't changed the scripting just yet. I'd like to be able to tell just how much is in it. This isn't putting any more in it, so I'll just kind of settle this back down. But alright, let me head for my tractors here. Let's see, I got one over there. I want some horsepower. The thing of it is, though, is I don't recall. Oh, I probably can't get out the other end of this barn, so I'll zip around it. I think it's just in here for decoration only. I'm trying to remember if I have cut any grass in here. I know I've baled some. I've windrowed some. Maybe I have cut some. So I got this mower over here. That's a decent mower. And, okay, I got a little windrower. What else do I have in here? Maybe nothing else sitting here. Alright, so let me head to a tractor. And let's see, I got this big one. Do I have any other big tractors? That's the X720. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna head back to the farm. I think I will use this to do some mowing. Actually, while I'm at it here, let me see. Oh yeah, I got 8 cows, and they are mowing down the feed, including the silage. At least have a head start. I'll say, here's my tractor to pull some windrows. I don't know whether to bale. I did create something so that I could put bales in there that'd probably be far more realistic than just gathering grass loose. Whoops, stay on the road here. There's my beacon. Something else I did here too, which actually is going to be of use for some of the grass areas. You'll notice here a few red bits. I know on a previous episode I mentioned changing the PDA map with one where I opened the editor and I went and found all of the fences and I put those in blue. Last episode I think we found even a little bit more fence, and so I updated it for that. And then while I was at it, because I don't know how it is when you start a map, when I came in here, I really, even though I'd opened the map in the editor and it spent some time, there's just things you don't know that are there and that are hard to find. For example, this road, you can hardly see it, but it's there. And even on the map, you can see it, it's green, I guess. One thought I've had is even coloring all the roads red, but I don't want to totally destroy, the map that the map author put together. So, but I figured I could put a few notations on it. So I identified all the fences, but even though I had gone around, oh, wait a minute. I am finding more fence. Oh, blimey, I need to put these in there too. More updates. Yeah, those kind of regions. Some of them don't really have rhyme or reason. For example, what is the purpose of this fence. It ends right here. I think it's just to make you run a gauntlet or something. Makes it a little more difficult. Let me drop. I think, do I have a weight? Yeah, I got a weight. Let me get a little fuel while I'm here. I'm going to drop the weight here so I can find it again. Let's go pick up the mower. Get the front one here. There is a ton of grass on this particular map, and I really don't know if we need it all or if I want to go through the effort of cutting everything, because some of it is kind of in hard to reach places. Alright, let me get this up. And oh yeah, another thing on the PDA map, you may notice the little red bits, and the purpose of that, you know what, we're going to need it over here by the cows, right? Right, so let me cut some grass that is close to home. How about we start there? But the red bits are for gates. You know, when you have an entirely fenced-in area and don't know how to get into it, you need to know where the opening is. So I went in and identified all the gates. And now this is a tiny little piece. Let me turn off my beacon. So, no, not that. Let me get this in. Now I'm cutting a little grass. Or am I? What? Now I'm cutting the grass. Okay, I was intending to cut the grass. Let me get rid of this here. So suffice it to say, I've identified all the fences, and you can see like little red bits. These are where you enter a field. The one we're in currently doesn't have a fence all the way around, so we'll just assume we're at the proper area. Alright. Now, I also... Oh, this is spreading it far enough. Actually, here's the true entrance. I just went by it. Yeah, this one here, I'm trying to remember if I put in the Lua coating. I know I've talked about, and I still need to visit more about the forcing of plowing and kind of what that did. But there are other foliages in here that I think the mower can take out. That in the base game, you don't really have the ability to do that, but I figured I would add it here because it just makes sense. You know, if you take one of these mowers over the top of a big old bush, maybe if, depending on how stout the bush is, it'll damage your mower, but you're also going to do damage to the bush. So I just figured it seemed right that we'd be able to take some of it out. Some of it is, let me see here. Yeah, this is gonna... We're gonna have some work for ourselves. And maybe part of it is, see, this is swinging wide. I don't end up cutting all of it. This is kind of a tight little field too, so not the best option maybe that we have for harvesting of grass, but maybe to do justice, man, it's skipping little spots too. Maybe to do the map justice, I need to at least go through each field once so that I can say that I done did it. But I'm kind of curious. I think what I'm going to do is just mow this one little field, and then I'm going to go get at the windrower and put it into rows and start picking it up. And I want to see how many liters even just this, one little spot creates. I have no idea how long it'll take, for all of it to grow back. But for all I know, it may be plenty to take care of, just the 8 cattle that I have. And I kind of think the money for the cattle, by the way, doesn't at, I think it's midnight that they pay you for that. Maybe even when it officially removes it from your inventory. We don't have a mod in here, the one where you have to truck your own milk. And that is a question I've kind of had. I know there is, that mod out there, and I don't know how it is in other areas of the world, but I know here, nobody takes their own milk to market. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. Maybe somebody out there does. But all the dairying that I'm aware of, in the area where I live, there's whoever they're selling it to sends out their own trucks, to pick it up from the farmer's place. But I don't know. Maybe they're, and I think the reason maybe that it's done is, hauling of milk. That's a pretty specialized service or thing to do, and I would think most farmers probably don't have, the equipment that it would take to do it, nor would they want to spend money on stuff like that. Let me see. Alright, I think we have both of them up. I will use the regular field entrance this time. Alright, well, let's take this out to the field and try to do some damage. It's just a small little thing, but back here in Farm Sim 11, we didn't have the layers of grass that we would have in later versions. If I'm not mistaken, there's only 3 layers, and so we don't want to actually, let me see, how should I do this? We don't want to do too much windrowing, otherwise we lose grass. Alright, let me back up here, turn this puppy on, and give it a go. And we will also see, it's changing color as we add another layer. Oh boy, it seems like I'm just flying. I don't know if I should be going 25 miles an hour. Seems like I would never do that in real life, so maybe I'll just cool this off here a little bit. But this will provide opportunity to, I think, there's no way we could have cut this if this wasn't the grass that would regrow. So, but this will, we're only going to cut this area here at the moment, and so this will tell us, whether it regrows and how quickly. Oh, good grief, I'm leaving little bits. So, but that is something I've been wondering about, because I know on the other side, oh, that's right, I can drive through the trees. Oh, it's so nice not having some hard objects. There's the true entrance to the field. wonder, is it really? What is that? You know, that almost looks like straw under there or something. Interesting. Not sure I totally know what that's all about. Alright, let me cool that down. You know, I assume it's piling up the air. I don't really see different colors, so... Alright, let's head down this way. Yeah, what is that? Is that, you know what that is? I wonder why that layer is showing up. That's kind of curious. You know, that's another... Okay, I remember reading about that in some of the comments on ModHoster about the map. The map is set up to have additional foliage layers that aren't a crop, but it's for spreading of manure and slurry on the fields. But what is curious to me is, why are they making an appearance here? You know, I don't remember seeing them. They're only appearing, see, right here along where we've supposedly windrowed. I don't see them out in the middle. That's kind of curious. And I have no idea why. And probably what's going to happen, you know, as we finish this, is they're not going to just go away. I don't think the wagon, the whatever you call that wagon, to pick up the loose grass here, is going to also... Oh, see, there was another one put down over there. There must be something... there's another one. Something in the process of ground modification that is doing this. And, you know, I remember seeing some of that when I created a mod for... Actually, it was for a windrower. You know, in the... I think I've explained this before, but in the base game, the windrowers only will windrow grass and dry grass. You know, if you try to use them out in the barley field behind the combine, they won't windrow the barley or wheat straw or anything else. Nor will they for multi-fruit crops, you know, that may be installed. And periodically out there, you know, someone would have a windrower, I think, that would be set up. Even as I say this, I'm not even 100% sure, but I think that there were some that were set up for multi-fruit, but they were few and far between, and basically you had to have a special script in order to get it to do it. So I made a script, you know, that would windrow anything that was windrowable, if that's a word. And one of the things I noticed with that script, particularly when there were other layers in the map, other foliage layers, when there was multi-fruit, I noticed this particularly over on the Feldy map, you know, and I was playing on it and testing it kind of on there, that it would sometimes confuse the layers. So I would be windrowing what I thought was grass, and it would start putting other layers out, you know, of some of the other crops. So yeah, I mean, it's, you do the best you can with some of these mods, and still there's going to be things, you know, that twist your tail or just don't work totally right. So all that to say, I remember seeing it before, so I wonder if these bits of manure that we're seeing here is just kind of the same issue, if you will. Shoot, for all I know, I'm the one causing it, because I think I have the multi-fruit windrower, so for all I know, I'm the one causing it, and it otherwise... I'm just zipping along. Maybe it otherwise wouldn't even be there if I didn't have that mod installed. Anywho, and I gotta say, the farm that I worked on in my growing up years, or farms, there was more than just one, but primarily Lone Oak. You know, they had cattle too, and it was always kind of one of the things we did in the spring was some hay work, you know, before we got into harvest proper. They never collected any loose, and I never really thought of it even as an option until farming sim. And it is an educational game we're playing here. Mostly, I think they fudge some things in here, don't present them accurately, but it has opened my eyes, you know, to a lot of things. I didn't really know about BGAs, for example, till learning about it in farming sim, and one of those things, of course, you know, was different ways of doing hay. And like I say, on the farm, because the goal, you know, with the hay was to put up something for winter for the cows to eat and whatnot, you know, we bailed a bit. I don't think, you know, if you tried to pick up loose grass in particular, I mean, it's just like grass clippings, you would gum up, stick together, and rot. Or compost, rather. So, I'm kind of curious, and I don't know if anybody can comment on this in the comments below. On a farm in real life, I mean, I assume they have those collector wagons for a reason. There must be a purpose, or do they only, you know, the old timers way back in the day would put loose hay into the barn, you know, before they had the modern bales and that kind of thing. But I'm sure before they put it in the barn, you know, they attempted to dry it so that it, you know, because if you put up wet hay, even today, it's a fire risk. You know, it seems counterintuitive, you know, to put something wet in the barn and recognize that it could start a fire, but it can and does happen. So I'm sure when it was stored loose, you know, they had to be careful that it was dry at least. So when farms today collect it in the wagon, you know, is it dry first? You know, we basically just cut the grass in here, and I was going to drag the wagon through. It may not even fill a whole wagon. I really don't know. We'll find out. But this is just straight cut grass. Hasn't really had any time to dry or anything like that. So I'm going to run into this fence. See, it's got, you know, I don't know. Here's yet another fence that I don't think, yeah, see, I put in this fence over here. Doggone it, I missed. Is there a fence? There maybe is a fence all along here. I never put this one in. It's another blinking hard object to deal with. So we'll just try to navigate around for it. Versus cheating and just driving through, which would be tempting to do. I just know in later versions of Farming Sim, maybe even starting with Farm Sim 13, the windrows started to get better. There were more layers. So, but when there's only 3 of them or whatever, and we're driving over a single layer, I think it's a single layer, that doesn't leave much room for the multiplicative effect of stacking layer on layer. So we get a little bit, but the reality is in this version, when you have to do a lot of windrowing, particularly if it's using the largest windrower, you're just losing a lot of material. Just kind of a reality. But it is what it is. Makes me wonder how hard it would be to mod in additional layers. Probably is a way to do it if the person knows what they're doing, but that's always the problem, ain't it? Knowing what to do. One more little bit. And we'll have this. Actually, that kind of forms its own little windrow, kind of right here at the end. So I don't think I'm going to touch that anymore. Back up. Now I think we need to go on a drive. After I put this away, of course. And I'm trying to remember where I dropped the trailer. I think it's way off to the west, I guess it would be. Alright, oops. Hit the building. Come back over here and park it. Fortunately, we have a very fast tractor. That's another thing that I wasn't used to in here, was the idea that some tractors are manufactured with the ability to go very, very fast. I don't know. Oh, well, of course, the other thing could be units of measure, too. I kind of think the game was designed for kilometers, so it could be it's in kilometers per hour, but the labels as miles per hour. But maybe they'll let me think I'm going, oh yeah, there's other fixes. I need to fix a PDA map. Zoom out here to get a little better idea. Excuse me. I don't want to be accused of running over beds. Head on up the road and go find our wagon. Now here where I live, you see these people are walking on the right side of the road, and where I live, I know they tell people to walk towards traffic, not with it, whereas if you're on a bike, you're supposed to ride it with the direction of travel of the cars. But I think it can be dangerous if you're walking whatever out on the road and you're going with it, because you can't see behind you. And this morning when I went to work, I left, it was dark, it was, I don't know, 20 after 5, something like that in the morning, and there was a jogger running with the direction of travel of vehicles, and fortunately the guy had a red light on his back so I could kind of see him, but he really shouldn't have been doing that. Now, did I leave? Oh, I could have just I could have just come over here and grabbed this tractor. Well, oh well. I think we'll leave that here. Now, where is 2? Is it 5? Yeah, that's what it is. All right. Let's go pick up some crop. We got a big old trailer here. Forage wagon, or whatever it's called. Actually, I think this is a little bit different tractor than the other one, isn't it? This is an M620. The other one was an X720. No wonder they sound different. Well, hopefully this one has enough sauce under the hood that it can run the wagon. I don't remember how much the wagon holds, but I'm guessing we're probably going to fit the whole field in here, no problem. Now let me see how much. Eee! The cows are eating me out of house and home. They're down to 2,000 liters. So they're actually going through it fairly quick. I think I started with 6,000. So, oops, stay in my lane. Yeah, so this will be interesting just to see how many I get, how many liters I get out of this little patch, because there are plenty of other grass patches Although next time I don't think I'll choose one. It's so many. Yeah, see, hold off just right here. We mowed, well, we didn't mow it. We picked up the grass over here early on in this series, and it appears some of it is regrowing, but the vast majority hasn't, nor has it over here and over here. So we need to replant. The only problem with replanting is going to be textures. You know, some of these maps are designed with, you know, so you can see it's got the green undergirding, if you will. When I till it up in order to plant it, it's going to appear like dirt, which is just fine. But the grass, I mean, of course, dirt is under everything. But the grass, when it comes in, isn't going to be thick enough to just overlay all the dirt, so it's going to kind of look funny. So, I don't know. I may just fix it in the map editor and put grass in with a green area. Actually, can I go? I think I can. I'll just sneak in the field here. Shoot. No sense going across the field without doing some work. I'm just wasting fuel now. Now this version, does it automatically... There we go, it's on. Let's turn the... I know I used this earlier, and because you can haul some grass to the BGA. Yeah, look at that, it's leaving all those little bits. Now, what do you know? Oh, there's the bell. But yeah, it's leaving those little bits, and the only way to take them out, I think, is to run a cultivator over it. I wonder if it's the mod that I made that has caused this, or if it's something else. And as you see here, we took, you know, just one windrow across. We have a whopping 2,200 liters. So we're not gonna get much out of the field here, but we'll get something to sustain our cows for a little bit. So I will continue here and pick the rest of this up off cam and take it over to our hungry cows to keep them sustained. And I will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.